Now, welcome to another news from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And fear not, there will be no Bad Batch spoilers in this video. So let's get right to the news.
All right, we're going to continue to talk about Mando because I'm super excited that it's coming soon.
It's Mando season.
Dave Filoni reveals how the Clone Wars influenced The Mandalorian.
Some characters show up. That might have a little something to do.
The Clone Wars was like the first Star Wars project Dave Filoni ever worked on, so it kind of makes sense that his first animated series could possibly shape his storytelling.
Or Ahsoka. Period.
Yeah.
No, I kid.
At least it shapes his storytelling in regards to future shows that he eventually worked on within the Star Wars universe.
I kid, but he definitely does love his character.
It's his wife.
Yeah, it is. He loves her a little too much, I think.
She'll never die. She is immortal.
He has got some serious attachment issues with her.
He's no Jedi.
No, he could not be
And
a
neither
Jedi.
is she. It all works.
Ooh, yes. Anyway.
In an interview with Empire, Filoni revealed that is what happened in the case of The Mandalorian. He spoke about his thoughts after they finished Mandalorian Season 2 and had decided where to go next. He said, "There's a big question at the end of Season 2 of what Mando will do next. Is that relationship over? In life, things don't always come to a perfect ending. I think things can continue on, and your adventure continues every day. I used to think about it with the Clone Wars all the time. When is that battle over? When is that struggle over? Because it culminates in the revenge of the Sith? But that can't be the ending for a show, even though that's the ending of the era. It took a while to figure that out."
I like how the Clone Wars story has kind of carried through multiple different... I mean, it kind of carries into Rebels. It obviously carries into Bad Batch. It's leaked into Mandalorian now. I'm fine with that. I know people will say, you know, it makes the galaxy feel smaller when we see the same few characters. And I do get that. And I do want some things to be different and to go different places from time to time. But I do like that there are these threads that kind of carry through all the stories he's done. I'm actually fine with that. Yet I do like to see other things too.
Filoni spoke about the need to provide each season with a clear ending while always leaving room for more storytelling. It's something that he did well with Star Wars Rebels' final season, which is finally paying off now in The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. He went on to say, "I think that in some ways you want each season to have a feeling of an ending, but in a lot of what I've done, I don't like hard endings. I like reading books in a series and then thinking, oh, there's another book, and this is going to keep going. It's always sad for me when an adventure ends and the characters are seemingly done with their journey. So I think that there's always a little bit of hope that something can continue."
Yeah, I agree.
I agree, but at the same time, sometimes there needs to just be an end, or your work never gets finished, and people are left wondering with questions for the end of time.
Well, I mean, it's almost impossible to end every story because end is usually means death, right? That's when your story reaches any kind of final conclusion, unless, you know, somehow you return. But anyway...
What happened to They Lived Happily Ever After? That's
well, I mean,
the end.
That's fine, but everybody... you know, a lot of stories, you get to the happily ever after, and you're kind of curious, what does the happily ever after actually look like?
The after ever after?
Yeah, well... But I mean, for better or worse, that is kind of... Especially a story like Star Wars, where it does keep going, where we know there's going to be more and more and more. You do want characters that you think their story is kind of complete, or you don't really need to see more. Sometimes you want to see more anyway.
Right, because within Star Wars there are millions of stories.
Yeah.
Billions, galaxy full of stories.
Virtually an infinite number of stories you can tell. I'm not that all are worth telling, but there's an infinite number of stories.
But, you know, when Dave Filoni speaks, we as Star Wars fans listen. There may not be a lot to pick through with those quotes, but it is worth paying attention to them, you know, regardless. These words give us even more insight as to how a show like The Mandalorian might eventually end or not end, ... For, you know, it might end for now, ... Though the show may finish, the characters themselves can live on in other projects.
Well, what I kind of find curious about it is, you know, Clone Wars is obviously the work of Filoni and Lucas, and everything Filoni has done kind of runs parallel to Lucas. And that, I don't know if that makes sense or not, so I kind of like that he has... you know, his Star Wars, which is heavily connected to Lucas Star Wars.
Yeah.
I just like that Filoni has found a way to kind of honor Lucas and yet make it his own at the same time. That's what I appreciate the most out of what he does. Not that he does everything perfectly. There are certainly things that, we got saber copters. We have some other things that he's added to the canon where I'm like,
things that
so
he
cool.
looked back on with a little bit of
Even he acknowledges that was a mistake.
A little too goofy, yeah.
But no, I like that. That's the fine line. You got to make it your own to some extent, but you have to honor what it is too. And Filoni, I think, does that really well.
Right, now let's move on to speaking about Favreau.
Oh, he does it horribly. No.
Favreau, in another article, he says not to expect a Skeleton Crew tie-in to The Mandalorian Season 3 or a Mandalorian movie.
Well, I'm out. That's it.
He did an interview with Variety concerning the fact that on Monday he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Congrats.
Where he kind of looked back at his entire career from the early days as an actor on Swingers, a director on Elf.
That's a good movie. I liked Swingers. He's so young and...
To his ventures in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then setting up the look and feel of the Star Wars Disney Plus franchise. He is one of the creators, the showrunner of Mandalorian, the flagship Disney Plus backbone of the whole Mandoverse.
Perhaps president of Lucasfilm one day. Mm-hmm. Someone's got to fill that role eventually.
I mean, so far, Mando's got 2 seasons of the main show, a few episodes in the spin-off Book of Boba Fett, but it's about to get bigger. I mean, Ahsoka, the Rosario Dawson spin-off from Mando, is going to be coming in a few months, we hope. And a third spin-off coming later this year, presumably, Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew is created by Spider-Man No Way Home's John Watts, who also served as director on the series, and is known to be taking the universe to a whole new direction by exploring uncharted territories, introducing new characters and their adventures.
Which is cool. Kind of the opposite of what I was talking about before. Let's do something different, too.
Go to a brand new galaxy. Let's call it New Galaxy or the New Beyond.
Why not both, as they say? No, come on
Maybe there's Light Sisters out there?
So much of the Star Wars galaxy to explore. I don't know that you need to go.
No, we're just going somewhere brand new because then it can't connect to the sequels. New. We're just going new.
Hey, I've said that there's every
Put it
chance
somewhere else and
what
we'll be
they're
fine.
kind of trying to do is take a detour around the sequels.
Well,
I'm not saying that's necessarily what they're doing, but if you're going to different parts of the galaxy and going to different galaxies entirely...
It explains why you weren't around for the other things.
Yeah.
Favreau has said before that the series will have direct ties to Mando Season 4. So Skeleton Crew is going to directly connect to Mandalorian Season 4, which is already written. Ooh. He already wrote Season 4. Season 4 of Mando is already written. We haven't even seen Season 3. But he did warn Variety that Season 3 will not serve as an introduction to those characters, unlike what happened with Ahsoka, which kind of backdoor piloted in Season 2.
Yes and no, but I mean, Ahsoka being in Season 2 was kind of like, hey, look, remember Ahsoka? Of course you do, because most of you, not most of you, a lot of you watching this have already seen it.
The Skeleton Crew isn't getting that same treatment where they're not going, oh, look at those kids, or hey, there's Jude Law's character. We're not going to see any of them.
I'm fine with that.
Supposedly.
I kind of surprised a little, but fine with it.
Mm-hmm. I think Ahsoka will backdoor into them, not
Yes, I think
Mando.
that's more likely. And I think we may see Ahsoka yet in Season 3 of Mandalorian.
Possibly. Favreau said, each storyteller brings their own personality to it. The groups that are working on Skeleton Crew are led by John Watts, whom I collaborated with on all the Spider-Man movies. This has been a real fun time, and the great filmmaker that he's engaged with have been bringing their perspectives as well. So looking at the future, we know 4 seasons of Mando, the main series is already in the works. But we don't know what's coming after, for the Mandoverse.
Yeah.
We know we've got Skeleton Crew and Ahsoka and more Mando, but what else?
Yeah.
There is a rumor that there's a Bo-Katan spinoff possibly in the works. We won't hear anything till Celebration in April, where I'm sure we'll get something, right?
Could get lots. I'm telling you, Mando, they gotta fill Star Wars Celebration this year.
Oh, it's gonna be full.
And if not, I'd be surprised because we've kind of hit that wall where we don't know. I mean, once Acolyte in Season 2 of Andor, which are still a ways away. I'm not saying there's like nothing left, but we're kind of missing that great beyond.
Yes.
And it's time for them to put forth a real game plan.
And Favreau says not to hold your breath. The Mandalorian, he doesn't plan on him coming to the big screen anytime soon. What he said is, there's always an opportunity when you have a set of characters and stories that people connect with, that you could cross media into different areas. Marvel does it quite effectively. It's just a matter of where our time should be spent and what the appetite of the audience is. With all these stories we're telling, it definitely is a full-time job just keeping this going with what we're doing now. Television has a much different rhythm and schedule than film does.
No, that's absolutely,
Straight,
yeah.
simple, and to the point. Favreau also confirmed, and this is something that I've noticed, that there is a lot of synergy between the work in the Star Wars galaxy and what Kevin Feige is doing in the Marvel camp. Both filmmakers apparently talk on a regular basis and enjoy each other's work, and will naturally learn from each other's approach. Favreau says, I speak to Kevin Feige regularly, and we're always watching each other's stuff. Clearly, I've worked in the MCU, and I'm dealing with people who worked in Star Wars for a long time. There's a lot of overlap, and certainly in the fan base. I think one informs the other. That's just the nature of storytelling, on the technological side as well as stylistically.
Yeah, no surprise there at all.
No, what's interesting is this quote comes off of a story that I haven't really gotten time to look into or cover, that James Gunn said that he was trying to take a Star Wars world-building approach in his new DC universe.
Don't do that.
It's like he just didn't want to say that he's trying to rip off Marvel, so he's like, yeah, I'm ripping off Star Wars. I'm like, I think he needs to be careful. It's interesting how all these three franchises are all like, we're all doing our own thing, but secretly we're all doing the same thing.
They are all doing, like, the shared universe concept, there's only so much variation you can have in it, right?
Right.
The idea is to take core characters and kind of spread them through different, mediums, perhaps, and keep them going. I mean, yeah, you can have slightly different takes, but it's essentially the same thing.
It really is.
I mean, it all even ties back to what, Filoni's saying. Why waste a good story, essentially? I mean, if Clone Wars was, a lot of more hardcore Star Wars fans loved it. So why not take those characters and keep them going? Introduce them to new audiences. So it really makes sense.
Well, let's move on to something a little more fun.
Mandalorian talk isn't fun.
This is still Mandalorian talk. Oh. But Katee Sackhoff made her own contribution to Bo-Katan's journey in Mando Season 3.
She lended her voice.
Well, clearly. But as we know, Katee Sackhoff was the Clone Wars voice actress for Bo-Katan, and she was the same in Rebels as well. And then, now she's live action, she's on the screen, she's doing her thing. She has so many memories of this character and so much insight into this character. She did this interview with Empire, where she explained that she knows the character so well that Jon Favreau and the entire team take her input on Bo-Katan.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. She says, I've lived in this woman's skin for a long time now. One of the things that Jon and I focus on is where she is in the moment, what peppers her experience. Jon and Rick every day defer to me, which is a crazy experience to have these masters asking me what I feel. It respects the craft and the years that I've put in. I really do know her. Her pain is my pain. When she experiences something, I really feel it. Like, I love how she has such a passion for her character.
Yeah.
And that she got to continue to be her on live action. It's awesome.
That's why you always make an animated character look like the voice actor.
You can try.
Just in case.
Just in case,
Well, unless they're like a weird alien or something, but if they're going to be
then
human,
they're fine, yeah.
Might as well put in a resemblance there.
The actress also revealed that while up to 5 different women don the Bo-Katan suit on set
5
for the 3rd season.
She's got Mando beat.
Yeah.
Mando's only got 2.
She still left some signature moves across a few sequences. She tried to do some of her own stunt work,
Cool.
She said,
she's a very physical actress.
She is.
Yeah.
She said, if one person has a better skill set than the other, well, that person needs to put the suit on that day. That being said, I have a wicked knee slide. I've been practicing my knee slides on my mom's kitchen with dish rags since I was 5 years old. So when that knee slide comes up, you'll know that's me. There are holes in my suit because I had to do it so many times. I came home with many bruises on my knees, but I love that. I came home with bruises. It was a good day.
Fun story indeed.
Keep an eye out when Bo-Katan does her knee slide.
That's her.
That's Katee Sackhoff in the suit right
Very
there,
cool.
doing her knee slide, looking cool. She practiced that since she was a kid.
You never know.
We know Bo-Katan is on a quest to possibly retake the Darksaber and reunite Mandalore and her people. We'll see how that clashes with Din, who wants forgiveness for removing his helmet, and he's going to go to Mandalore to try and take a bath and get to put it on again.
It's one way to put it, yeah.
I'm excited to see, because I think she's going to have some clashes with Din, the armor, possibly Paz.
Well, I'm very curious to see how they kind of mishmash together.
Right, because she blames them for a lot of what happened.
She's got to be PO'd at Din for kind of getting the saber.
Well, and I can imagine that the armorer probably has no love for her because she probably thinks that you contributed to making Mandalore weak, and Mandalore weak is what led to this.
Yeah.
There's going to be some animosity. I'm looking for some deep Mandalorian lore, and hopefully I'll get it this season.
I think that's what we're mainly going to get this season is Mandalorian lore. Mandalore.
Mandalore?
Yeah. No, that's what I'm looking forward to. I am. Like
Mandalore on Mandalore?
Like we kind of talked about yesterday, like the Grogu thing feels like a side story to me, which is why I was okay with him not being around this season, potentially.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what they come up with.
I know. And like I said, I'm not opposed to the idea of, bringing in Grogu again and doing some cool stuff with him. I just hope it's worth bringing him back. Like, I hope they find an actual story.
I think it's going to be.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
But, just saying.
Okay.
Well, and I'll now say that that's all we got for you this time. So take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of any and all of today's news. And let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.